Welcome everybody to this week's edition of Valpo Basketball Preview along with head coach Bryce Drew. This is Todd Icahn. We're brought to you today by the South Shore Convention Visitors Authority. And Coach, first off, a lot of congratulations to throw out. First off, you guys win the conference championship, and you had to do it by going to Cleveland State, one of the toughest arenas to win in, and against one of the toughest teams. And that had to be perhaps the most rewarding win of the season thus far.
You know, it was a very emotional 48 hours from the loss of Detroit to all the travel, a lot of team meetings, and you know, it was a great blessing. The guys really recovered and came out with a lot of energy, and maybe our best effort of the year, you know, in that last game.
Talk about a lot of team meetings. Thursday was a tough day because you'd lost the game that you thought, oh, we're going to win the conference championship. The game at Cleveland State won't have any factor on who wins the conference title, and really was not a good performance on Wednesday night. And then you had to work like kind of all day Thursday, almost regrouping, right?
Yes, you know, we are a very inexperienced team, the least experienced team in the whole league, and so it was a new situation for a lot of guys to, you know, be on such a high and have a chance to close out the conference championship, and then all of a sudden to lose and have to go into an extremely tough environment against a really good basketball team. So, you know, we talked a lot, and I think the guys did a great job regrouping themselves, and they came out really fired up on Friday.
Yeah, you played one of the best games of the season on Friday, and it came off not only the loss against loss against Detroit on Wednesday, but 3 or 4 previous games where you didn't play your best. Mm-hmm. How did it happen on Friday in your mind?
You know, I think you know, a lot of factors. Keith Carter had just come back, and so it's taken a few games to get a rhythm with him. I thought that was the first game since his injury that there was a consistent level of the team being comfortable with him on the floor and really playing well with him on the floor like earlier in the year. So I think that had a lot to do with it. You know, we had a tough stretch there with some quick turnarounds, going to Milwaukee for a game and different things. Senior night's always a very emotional night. So, you know, it was nice that the guys, I think, maybe could get away and really get focused on this trip.
Speaking of congratulations, Coach of the Year for the second time in the Horizon League, and this one obviously, I'll say, you don't need to say it, it was well deserved. Picked 4th in the league, key injury throughout the season, key injury before the season ever started, and you know, when you're a coach, the satisfying thing is to win the conference championship. The awards are nice, but this was a team that I think if you looked after Lexus got injured, then certainly after Keith got injured, no one could have projected a 13-3 record in the league.
Well, you know, really happy for our guys that were honored. You know, we explained to our team that we have a lot of depth on our team, and so our numbers are pretty spread out statistically. And I know one award that we're really proud of is 6th Man of the Year, because it does show our depth, and we've gotten that award 2 of the last 3 years, and was really happy for Jabril to get that this year. You know, very blessed to have a great coaching staff, great players, and I think it should be called, you know, Team of the Year or Staff of the Year, because they're the ones that do the work.
I was, from my standpoint, I was happiest to see that Vasile won Defensive Player of the Year, because it shows here's somebody who has worked so hard, and the importance that he has to this team sometimes is overlooked by a lot of people. You
know, if you look straight statistically at points and rebounds, it doesn't look like he's a big part of our team. But then when you watch a game and you see everything that he does on the defensive end to alter shots or change offenses, how much he bails, you know, the coaches out, bails our players out, you know, I think is a very well-deserved honor that he's played tremendous defense all year.
Okay, winning the conference regular season puts you in the position you want to be in. You get the conference tournament at home, you're already into the semifinals, and let's look ahead here. There's a good chance it'll be either Detroit or Cleveland State. Youngstown State's the other possibility that they would have to win 2 games, upset in both ball games. Detroit is a team that obviously we know they just beat you on Wednesday, and Cleveland State's a team which you guys had great success with thus far this year. How do you approach practice the next few days, not sure who you're going to play?
You know, we'll prepare for a variety of things, so we'll put things in from different teams to work on, because by the time we find out who we're playing, it'll be too late to really work on anything. It'll just be a review. So we'll be prepping, you know, all week, and then no matter who we play, hopefully we'll be ready.
From the standpoint of preparing, is it good that you just played these 2 teams this past week?
It definitely helps. It also hurts because they know us, and you know, they have a short turnaround in one day, and they can just go to their, you know, their stats and their info that they did last week. So you know, I think it's goes both ways a little bit.
3rd time in 4 years at home. for the conference tournament. Does that help in your mind?
You know, I think you ask any coach in the country, they'd rather play on their home court than on the road. So, you know, I know our guys are really excited to play in front of our fans, and as a coach, I'd much rather play at home than on the road.
Does the experience of the previous few years where you played at home, does that help even extra?
You know, we have so many new players. You know, Vachil Fernandez is the only one who actually was on that team playing in a uniform that year. And so everybody else, it's their first time going through it. And, you know, I think it helped that we've had some big crowds this year. You know, the New Mexico game, the Wright State game, Cleveland State game. We've had some really Green Bay game. So we've had some really good crowds. Hopefully, you know, the players are used to that.
Congratulations thus far, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
For head coach Bryce Drew, this is Todd Eichel. Thanks for joining us this week on Valpo Basketball Preview, brought to you by the South Shore Convention Visitors Authority.